I run New York.
Oh shit. It's a 50 Cent video. We need Yankee caps in it. Come on. Throughout his prolific career, American rapper, producer, actor, and entrepreneur 50 Cent, otherwise known as Curtis Jackson, has earned an estimated amount of at least $260 million from his various musical projects and side hustles. Despite being known as a multifaceted businessman, 50 has had quite the business career over the years, at one point resulting in his eventual filing of Chapter 11 in July of 2015 before declaring bankruptcy. 50 was rocking an estimated net worth in the 100 to 150 million range. But these days, we're gonna have to make do with what sites like Celebrity Net Worth estimate to be around $30 million for his net worth, although something tells me that 50 is probably worth a lot more than that.
Got paper, you understand me? Little Floyd showed him a big bag of money when he's out there in Vegas gambling. You see that?
Despite these so-called difficulties, 50 has never really seemed all that worried about his financial situation. In fact, more often than not, you'll still see him on social media showing his hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of flashy jewelry. Or his car collection said to be worth 7 figures, and one that includes a classic Ferrari F50, which has a street value of around $2.5 million. As for his home base, well, with a mansion featuring more than 50,000 square feet of space, I'd say that 50 spared no expense. Fortunately for him, now we can't even move off the damn property. Thank God he still has his music career and numerous side ventures to fall back on to help right his financial ship. Not only does he make millions from his music career and his series of alcoholic beverages, but he's also made huge in roles as an actor over the past few years, and the majority of his income these days stems from a recent deal with the cable channel Starz. You know, it's kind of crazy to think that this man has created his own drug dealer Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, he spends my university tuition every month on house utilities. Hey, the rich life of 50 Cent can be somewhat of a difficult thing to fathom. But in terms of his highest payday of all time, well, that's actually got nothing to do with music or acting. And if you want to find out how 50 Cent made over $100 million by barely doing anything at all, then I'll see you back after the intro on our newest episode of The Rich Life. 50 Cent earned his first $100 million under fluky circumstances. You see, back in 2004, when 50 was more or less at the height of his popularity, he decided to invest a minority share with Vitamin Water.
Vitamin Water has the best customers. We'd like to thank them for their support.
Well, only 3 years later, in 2008, the Coca-Cola company bought Vitamin Water for an unprecedented $4.1 billion. Yes, that is billion with a B. And guess what? 50, well, he walked away with roughly 10 times more money than he's ever made off of rapping. With what is reported at the time to be a 2.5% stake in the company, 50 earned a cool $100 to $150 million from the sale to Coca-Cola. Hence that opening line on I Get Money. I'm not sure if we're allowed to play it, but you know the one. But you know what they say, easy come, easy go, and perhaps having had so little to do with earning this money in the first place might have been one of the primary reasons why 50 was so reckless with his investments from that point on, all of which would come to bite him in the ass in 2015. Only before we get to that, let's round out his earning profile. As a young man who had been passionate about music from the jump, 50 had been trying to get a music career for himself off the ground since the late 90s. By May of 2000, he was gearing up for the release of what he was hoping would become his breakthrough single, Thug Love. Aside Destiny's Child, yes, that's Destiny's Child with Beyonce, Jay-Z's wife, then he was shot nearly a dozen times. I know, crazy timing.
It doesn't hurt as much as people imagine it hurts because of your adrenaline and how the shock of what's actually going on, it hurts after.
Where were you shot?
In my hands, my legs several times, like 5 times in my hands, and then in my legs and then in my face.
50 Cent would recover in the hospital for 13 days, and while there, he signed his first record deal with Columbia Records. Unfortunately, he was dropped soon after by the very same company while he tried to release a song titled The Ghetto Quran. Wrestling with being blacklisted by the entire music industry, 50 Cent traveled to Canada to record a series of mixtapes and rebuild his credibility, the first of which was his 2002 mixtape, Guess Who's Back? You know, the one with him and the gun on the front cover? Iconic. Once this dropped, despite a litany of legal issues, 50's talent was finally undeniable. When superstar rapper Eminem first heard Guess Who's Back that same year, he loved it so much that he instantly flew 50 out to LA to meet him and Dr. Dre, which they signed them to a $1 million record contract with Shady and Aftermath. Soon after this, 50 Cent was on his way to the mountaintop. By 2002, he dropped his debut studio album, a classic, Get Rich or Die Trying, and it debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts, selling almost 1 million copies in just 4 days. Also, in the span of only 1 week, In the Club would set a record for the most listened to song in radio history. Yeah, talk about dominance. To date, 50's albums have sold more than 21 million units worldwide, and while he certainly became less prolific over the course of the last decade, only releasing 1 studio album, 2014's Animal Ambition, 50 is still a huge presence in the world of hip-hop, both in front of the mic and behind the scenes as a producer. In fact, as of right now, the rumor mill is suggesting that 50 Cent should have a new album coming out this September, and the project is currently untitled. Outside of music and vitamin water, the third tentpole when it comes to 50's financial profile is his burgeoning Hollywood career. 50 kicked off his acting career early on, appearing in the Hollywood movie of his life, Get Rich or Die Trying. Yes, his first feature debut was like a biography about his life. I don't know how many people get into acting like that.
You end up just like your mama.
At least mama's not here on her knees washing floors like you.
Roy, don't you speak
I
for
got
me
blood
like
in my
that.
veins. My mama ain't lived like no second class.
And considering he started his career off as a leading man and that movie was based off of his life story, you just know that 50 earned himself a high-end 7-figure deal for that picture, and probably north of $10 million once things like box office and are taken into consideration. Also, just for that movie specifically, the soundtrack was absolutely fire and probably sold a lot of records too, so yeah. 50 made a lot of money off that debut in film. Since then, he starred in a series of supporting star roles in films like Righteous Kill, Dead Man Running, and The Escape Plan, but his biggest acting contract is the 4-year overall deal that he signed with Starz, who produces his drama series, Power.
You ain't tell nobody I was getting out tonight, now did you?
No?
Good. 'Cause I wanted to be a surprise.
Not only does 50 star in the series, but he produces it as well, having helped develop the concept, and in October of 2018, he signed a new deal with Starz that would see him earn as much as $150 million over a 3-series commitment that will extend to upcoming projects like For the Life and BMF. Like, with the sheer amount of Power spin-offs alone, I mean, this guy's literally created his own drug dealer Marvel Cinematic Universe. You love to see it. And now we have come to it, the financial turning point in 50's career. In July of 2015, he filed for bankruptcy protection and cited assets valued in the range of $10 million to $50 million with debts of an equal amount. What were some of these debts? Well, in a bizarre turn of events, one of them consisted of a $5 million judgment that 50 had to pay to Rick Ross's ex-girlfriend, Lavonia Levinston, after he intentionally released a private home video of hers. Remember those Pimpin' Curly videos? Yeah. Turns out those cost a lot of money to release. Only 1 year later, another judge ordered 50 to pay $17.5 million in damages as part of a trademark infringement case related to a former partner in a headphone company. All in all, 50 was looking north at $20 million that he owed to people from different lawsuits, and on top of that, he was not solvent enough to pay his other bills. In the end, declaring bankruptcy and the legal maneuvering that resulted from it would actually work out for 50, and he ultimately only paid back around $23 million. Hey, once a hustler, always a hustler. You can take a man out of the hood, but you can't take the hood. You guys know. Since settling his legal issues and working out his bankruptcy, 50 Cent has also managed to help build his net worth back up by investing in a series of adult beverages, including selling his stake in Effin' Vodka for a reported $60 million. He also invested in his own champagne brand called Le Chemi, and I'm not going to try and pronounce the rest because I do not want smoke with 50 Cent, which he's constantly hyping on social media alongside his cognac brand, Branson Cognac. As I was detailing all of 50's financial struggles during his bankruptcy days, you were probably thinking to yourself that having a killer home must have had something to do with this difficult circumstance. And guess what? You are absolutely right. 50 Cent bought this 7-acre prime piece of real estate back in 2003. It's situated in Connecticut and features 50,000 square feet of space with 37 bedrooms, 21 bedrooms, as well as his very own nightclub and casino, because why the hell not?
This is actually the strip club area, where we have the lovely adult entertainers for adult entertainment, so we can hold a big girl.
50 bought this home out of foreclosure when Mike Tyson was having some financial difficulties of his own. So 50 actually got a pretty good deal on it, paying only $4.1 million for a property that's probably worth a healthy sum more than that. Once 50 moved in, he poured in an additional $6 million in various upgrades to the house, including a private movie theater, an infinity pool, and a helicopter pad. During his bankruptcy proceedings, we'd come to learn that it cost 50 around $72,000 a month simply to maintain his home. I mean, his utilities alone cost a reported $18,000. And because it's such a money suck, 50 tried to move off this place as early as 2007 when he listed it for $18.5 million. The only thing is, he never really had any takers, and at this point this home is still listed on the market for just under $5 million. These are rich people problems if I've ever heard of them, man. He literally spends my university debt on utilities every month. Like, this is crazy. Besides his ridiculous home, 50 also owns a car collection that rivals some of the very best. Among his treasure trove of automobiles is the nearly $900,000 custom-made Rolls-Royce Phantom, which I'm pretty sure every rapper is contractually obligated to have at least one of. I mean, are you really a rapper if you don't have a Rolls-Royce? But he's also gotten a taste for the classics like the Ferrari F50. This supercar was first introduced to the world in 1995, and these days it's said to be worth as much as $2.5 million at an auction, depending upon the condition. It might have been built back in the 90s, but it can still go from 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds.
This is Curtis right here, you understand what I'm saying? It's the Ferrari F50.
Finally, before we get out of here, let's take a quick look at some of 50's legendary jewelry collection, whether it's this 20K carat diamond pendant that's said to be inspired by, of all things, the Titanic, or this eye-catching $17,000 skeleton Krieger watch that features a black padded alligator strap, a dial adorned with rubies, and is apparently one of 5 of its kind in the entire world. A little bit of a step up from that G-Unit spinner chain. I don't know, I had one. I bought one from the mall kiosk. Don't act like you didn't either. And hey, just because that's the kind of spending that got 50 Cent into trouble the first place, doesn't necessarily mean that he hasn't learned from his lesson. Or does it? As long as we all get to continue living vicariously through his bank account, what does it really matter? My name is Clyde Smith, and if you enjoyed this look at the rich life of 50 Cent, then please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video.